5 entries will be drawn for a VIP pass to Affiliate Summit East in New York. So fill those out if you will. Let us know how we've done. It's very helpful to all of us. So I'd like to start by introducing the session. This is Attribution and Affiliate Marketing. Where are we now? And we've labeled it Where Are We Now because many of us on the panel have spoken a lot about this subject. And I want to introduce the panel. I've been really excited to get this panel together because we have a good brain trust right here. And we'll start with Todd. Todd, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm the co-founder and vice president of strategic initiatives at Impact Radius. We're a technology marketing analytics company. We provide solutions for affiliate tracking, also to track all media, attribution modeling, as well as fraud detection and monitoring solutions.
Chad?
Yeah, I'm Chad Waite. I'm the marketing manager at AvantLink. And AvantLink, of course, is an affiliate network that focuses pretty strictly on the cost per sale side, no dabbling in lead gen or anything. And we also have Attribution, and excited to be here. And thanks to Paul for putting this together and all the work.
And Sarah?
Sarah Homan. I am the affiliate manager at Cabela's. If you don't know it, it's a pretty big outdoor brand.
Okay, great. And I'm Paul Schroader. I'm president and founder of PS Web Solutions. We're an interactive agency out of Salt Lake City specializing in affiliate program management. So wanted to start this session off. It's more of an intermediate session. Just by a show of hands, how many of you were in the session that Sarah did yesterday from Carousel about attribution? Anyone was able to attend that? It's a pretty interesting session that touched this, and it was specific to Carousel's platform. But in the industry, we're really looking for solutions, and each solution provider has a different take on it. But hopefully, given the panelists that we have here, we have a lot of different viewpoints to address. So, as I mentioned, most of us on the panel here have spoken at multiple conferences about this over the last few years, and it's really become important. And I recall on one of the sessions that we did in the past, Todd had called analytics or attribution analytics on steroids. And I kind of like that analogy because just as analytics is so commonplace now, you can't run a site without running analytics. I saw a quote from a guy at Google who said, not having analytics on your site is akin to an offense against God or something like that. He was very adamant how important it was. Attribution is becoming just that important. That being said, there have been some reports out there in the session yesterday. They said for Carousel, the top 100 merchants, only 20% of their merchants had attribution modeling in place. Now that was specific to their network, but as a whole, there's a report out there, the affiliate benchmarks report, and that was just released a couple of months ago, and they show that 44% of those that they surveyed, affiliate programs that they surveyed, had attribution modeling in place, while 56% either didn't have it or didn't know if they had it. And if you don't know if you have it, it's probably just like you don't have it.
Yeah, but I would also say that a lot of people have it and they don't use it. So just because you have it doesn't mean it's working for you.
Okay, and then knowledge is power. So another portion of this report that came out showed that those that did have it were able to reevaluate the value that the affiliates were providing. And 31.7% evaluated them higher, while 15.4% had lower evaluation of their affiliates after incorporating a program. So again, we're trying to look at this from a number of different perspectives. There's the technology side, the network side, the merchant side, the agency side, and the affiliate side. And hopefully we're able to cover all of that in today's discussion. Now this is something will kind of get us up to speed. I want to set the table before we get into the deep discussion on this. This is a snapshot that I really like that Impact Radius has used in the past that shows a customer path, and this is a 20-day journey to sale, and it shows the different media efforts that were touched along the path. And these slides will be available afterwards, so if you want to reference them later, we'll make sure that they're available, and all of our contact information is at the end of the deck as well, so you can reach out to any of us and we'll help you with this. So with that in mind, what we're trying to understand is the whole customer journey, right? So at what point are they introduced to your company, and at what point are they doing the research on it and being influenced to buy, and then when are they actually in the purchase decision-making process. And then you have all of the different media that are pointing toward that, and how do you combine that all together for optimal performance. And then once you do that, you can start to decide how to allocate your budgets, and it's basically, attribution is going to help you make smarter, more informed marketing decisions. With that in mind, you also have to understand that there will be some overlap. Affiliates aren't always in the purchase decision process. They are a lot of times introducers. And in fact, that is what many of our clients have found to be the most valuable, is if they're trying to get their brand out there, affiliates can be hugely influential there. There are a number of different types of models out there. In affiliate, the most common has always been the last click. But you have last click, first click, time decay, last non-direct click, linear, position-based, and algorithmic. And the algorithmic is just separating them and kind of piecemealing it based on the value you see provided. There are a couple of data samples here that show what's happening. And this is one from AvantMetrics, and so again, impact radius is a solution, AvantMetrics is a solution, and they all have different ways of showing the data, but you are able to get to this granular level of detail to make better decisions. So that being said, that kind of sets the table for our discussion. Like I said, we've been doing this for a number of years, so we have all of this information at our disposal, and things have kind of changed over the last few years. I mean, people are getting smarter about it, and more companies are incorporating it, so I think we have a little bit more real-world experience, and hopefully that's reflected in our discussion. So we'll start with the first question here. So why should everyone running an affiliate program incorporate attribution modeling? And we'll start with you, Todd, if you will, and then we'll mix it up.
Well, I mean, if you think about the affiliate channel that you're running, maybe it's 15% of your business, and most affiliate platforms will show you who won. You know, if you're using last click, they'll say, you know, this affiliate got credit with the sale and a commission. Not all affiliate networks can even show you the affiliates that were involved that didn't get a commission. But what no real affiliate networks show you is all of the other marketing spend and all those touch points. And if you don't have to go back, but if you go back to the slide that we were showing for a transaction, you can see there was more than just affiliate involved in a conversion. And so when you're trying to understand the value of the affiliates and how they're contributing to winning or being paid for conversions or contributing to other channels getting credit, if you're only looking at best 15% of the data, you're making decisions off of, you know, a very small piece of the puzzle. And I think the one thing I see with marketers, most of us are very excited about data. We want as much data as we can get. We want it to be as accurate as possible, so that if we get asked a question, we can find the answer, or if we have our own questions or want to do our own analysis, we know we can get the answers. And so the reason you should have attribution data is once you have the complete picture, you can better analyze how individual affiliates are contributing, whether you're overvaluing or undervaluing based on the spend that you're driving and the revenue that they're driving.
Fantastic. Chad, do you want to take the same question?
Yeah, I'll echo Todd's point about seeing the whole pie and not just a piece of it. As it applies directly to the affiliate channel, though, I think the biggest thing that we've seen from attribution is that, and this is a good, place to talk about this. It avoids these knee-jerk perceptions of the people that you work with when it comes to affiliates. You've probably heard many times here at the show, or from a friend, oh, this type of affiliate only does this type of referral, right? And because of those kind of passed down opinions, a lot of people tend to make these business decisions about working with this type of affiliate or that type of affiliate, based on what an industry perception is of them. And one thing that attribution does is peel back the curtain, right? It shows what's behind the scene, what the real value of affiliate referrals are, and how you can optimize your relationship with them based on what's really going on, and not a recommendation from a friend or what one company or their management does with the affiliate. It helps customize your relationships with your affiliates to what's really going on. And I think that avoiding those perceptions or kind of those stereotypes of what a specific affiliate is knowing, quote unquote, to do is avoided with attribution and really helps add data to the equation.
Yeah, I'd say what Chad just hit on is a big one for us. A lot of people take assumptions with the channel, like, oh, affiliate is always going to be that last click, that guy that's jumping out of the cart. Do you know that, or is that just something you've heard? But if you have the data, and they both of these networks can give you that, you're like, no, we're not. And it shows that, literally gives you the numbers. And I think that opens up a lot of good conversations with your partners. Like, hey, you are always coming, people are jumping out of the cart. Like, what can we do? What can we do different with you so you become top of funnel?
Thank you. Now, if I might add just a little bit, on top of this, it's what I liked was it's informed decision making, and so you get actionable data rather than having some emotional decision being made. It reminds me of a story that a colleague of mine told me about. Very recognizable national brand owner of a company, and it's the urinal story. He was standing next to a guy in the urinal, and this was 10, 12 years ago, and the guy says, pay-per-click is killing us. We're just, we're losing our shirts on it. And so this owner of this company goes in the meeting and says, shut down our pay-per-click. Everybody, all the marketers in the room were like, what? And they shut it down, and a week later said, bring it back, bring it back. So, rather than that knee-jerk emotional response, it actually gives you a chance to make informed decisions. So next question, and we'll start off with you, Sarah, on this. What are some of the most common models you see being used at this point? So, or actually for you, since you're doing one, what did you settle on, and why did you settle on that model that you're using?
So right now, in our channel on third party, we just do the whole last click. That's what we pay, but that's kind of where we run into a problem, and what we're trying to solve this year with the networks is our internal numbers. It's not last click. It's first click, last session. So we have to understand what affiliates are driving that value internally and kind of spend more efficiently there.
Okay, fantastic. So as a merchant, you're trying to get to that level of understanding to where it's not all focused on that last click. So with Chad and with Todd, they actually have seen multiple merchants that are doing this. So Chad, what do you see being used the most, and can you elaborate?
Yeah, from the perspective of what clients tend to want to focus on the most is for the most part introducers versus influencers versus checkout influencers. Kind of the, take your typical funnel model, and that's what people really want to try to attribute value to. But I'll reiterate that this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Attribution gives data to support or deny the goals that each merchant has. If they want to engage a certain type of affiliate that comes in at a certain point of the funnel, then attribution can show if they're accomplishing that. And the models that they set up can be used to support that or shift efforts from the affiliates in different areas. And so the most common is what you typically think of. Again, the introducer oftentimes has the most value, but we see different models all the time with different focuses from different merchants. So it's a very, very broad field.
Okay, thanks. And Todd?
Well, just for everybody's sake here, when we talk about paying an affiliate for a sale, becoming the winner, most advertisers are paying on last click. And I look at that as something called crediting logic. So when does my pixel fire? Under what circumstances will I credit an affiliate? And so I think that's a very easy and simple model. And it is an attribution model, but that's really what drove the pixel to fire and the network to be able to consume that conversion and figure out what their commission is. When you do attribution modeling, what's that? That's after the fact, right? It's taking lots of data and it's giving you a view, another perspective on the same data. Nothing changed with your data. It's just giving you a new perspective. And so what it does is it says this $100 sale, I gave this affiliate a 10% commission, so they have $100 in revenue attributed to them and a $10 commission or spend. But when I model, like in that subway graph that we showed, all those touch points, like an algorithmic AI type of model, might shift some of that revenue. And so you don't do it at each transaction, you're doing it on aggregate data. So by being able to compare what I paid an affiliate on versus my credited to other multiple attribution models, I understand how the value of those partners and other marketing channels shifts by looking at first click or algorithmic or linear or decay. And And so different models are really just perspectives on the same data so that you can learn. And so it's not necessarily that you have one model. A lot of companies will adopt, most likely, an attribution, an algorithmic model, because it can take into consideration so many factors that a human could never model. And then they understand, well, if I paid this affiliate, or I attributed this affiliate for a month $100,000 in revenue, my attribution model only attributed them $50,000. I'm obviously overvaluing that affiliate twice as much as I thought, so I should figure out how to adjust what I'm spending with them. Or if it's the other way around, it's $200,000 worth of attributed revenue on $100 accredited, I'm undervaluing that partner. And that's really where I think the data, it can be used to understand, to talk to a publisher and say, this is why I have to lower your commission, because your attributed value is much lower than what I'm crediting you for.
Yeah, and by the same token, sometimes you may be undervaluing the affiliate and increasing their payout based on that too. And we've seen it both ways. And to Todd's point, taking the macro and micro view of this is really important to clients, because we've come up with a stacked revenue chart that basically says, okay, here are your different channels: your social, your email, your display, your affiliate, your paid search, whatever it is. Then you have each of those that have their dollar amount, and then you have an overall dollar amount that you're looking at as well. And inevitably there will be a chunk of revenue that's coming through that's untracked. And this rising tide lifts all boats theory is that's untracked is still going to increase, because your program should be working symbiotically, and if they are, then you're going to see this huge lift. But you have to look at it from a whole and say, okay, well, what is my return on ad spend as a whole with all of my media, and then individually, and at some point you have to assign a winner. And so that's just something you have to decide internally. The next one here is, what are the most effective, I guess this kind of covers it, what are the most effective models for the affiliates, and we've kind of covered that. So we'll go on to the next one, and then case studies. From some of our past sessions and in the session yesterday, case studies are always interesting to say, okay, in what situation has this proven to be effective, or has someone who has been looking for a solution, did they find what they were looking for? Did they find something that was unexpected? And Chad, since we haven't started with you, let's start with you on that.
Yeah, I should probably back up real quick and say that from a modeling perspective, with the case study that I'm about to say, some of the functionality comes from the ability to actually act on data in real time, though. So if there are multiple affiliates involved in a sale, for example, you actually try to reward a portion of the commission payout to each and every affiliate. So it can be a post-sale analysis of all the data, or you can act on the data during the actual sale itself. So right there in real time, right? Payout, who is involved, the portions that you as a merchant allocate to wherever that affiliate came into the funnel. Now, one thing that's interesting, and kind of to the point we talked about a little bit earlier, where you're disproving assumptions on the value of certain affiliates, was that I can't name the specific client at hand, but the client put in an attribution modeling. They said, well, we want to make sure that everybody who comes in first gets their chunk of the commission that they deserve, and gets paid out on that, and that the ones who we find to have, quote unquote, less value, at least in their eyes, gets a portion of the commission that we deem appropriate. And what they found was that the publisher partners, the affiliates that they had associated, a lack of value or a specific spot in the funnel that they assumed always came in, were coming in, 1 out of every 2, 1 out of every 3 times as introducers, or as people that were mid-click stream. And it was shocking because, again, the assumption was just, oh, these type of publishers always come in, end of click stream here. They take somebody in the cart and just reintroduce them. And that wasn't the case. I mean, yeah, it happens sometimes, but it basically had this merchant objectively look at their relationships and say, well, we were going to take these type of publishers, either give them the axe or take them down to, a very arbitrary commission amount where nobody really wants to operate within. And now we're seeing that, maybe not 100% of the time, but a good percentage of the time, these people are proving value that we've already associated value with. Their referrals are what we want to see, and we haven't had the data before to actually show that objectively. And furthermore, if they're involved and there's another affiliate involved, that everybody's getting equitably rewarded based on what we are associating value to. And that's not a solo occurrence. I mean, we see, again, when you peel back the curtain and you look at what's really going on, the type of referrals that affiliates can make aren't necessarily contained to the box that you put them in. And, you know, it's again, it's all about the data. It's all about seeing what's there.
Okay, Todd, you want to take
So
it?
I guess an easier way, you know, if I'm an advertiser, if I'm one of you in this room, the biggest concern I hear is that usually most programs have 10 to 20 affiliates that drive 95% of the volume. A lot of them are at the end of the click path, so maybe they're coupon or loyalty. And the reason is the consumer is in a position, is exposed to the concept of a coupon once they're in the cart, right? There's a field. You are an idiot if you don't find something to paste into this box, right? Pay full price or find something to paste into the box. So the behavior is incented by the merchant, but and the consumer is no fool. The other is loyalty. Well, I know I can get cash back because I'm a member of Ebates. So I find what I want to buy before I check out. They've told me I just log in, click on that merchant, and then finish my checkout, and the tracking will work because as a consumer, I don't know how tracking works. So you have advertisers focused on this, the top of their affiliate, their largest partners, and wanting to make sure that all the affiliates prior in the clickstream get their fair share, right? So the content, the review, the influencers, the social media that maybe helped shape that consumer's thinking to actually buy. The problem is nobody's a mind reader, so we can't read the mind of the customer to say which thing influenced you the most. And the reality is, if you ask the consumer post-purchase, they're going to probably say it was a coupon, just because the coupon made it worth buying, right? There's a lot of cart abandonment, and you can't measure what you didn't get. You can only measure what you did get. So what advertisers are always trying to do, what I always hear is, how can I share the love with the earlier clicks? And sometimes they are winners, but not always. So there's two ways, or several ways, but if you take this approach, and this is how most advertisers work, so this is kind of a generic case study, is I look at those publishers and I've done my attributed value. So for the affiliate channel, I want 8% to be the cost of the whole affiliate channel. So I look at my guys that are the biggest, and maybe, okay, let's just go with the most extreme example. I don't see a lot of value, and then they're always at the end of the card, and I don't believe that I would have got those. I believe I would have got those sales anyway. So I'm overvaluing them, so I move them from 8, my target of 8%, to 4, because I think it's a 50% devaluation. I've got a lot of content sites that I think are great. They're hardly ever getting credit. I move them to 16%, which some people might think is an insane amount. My overall program probably drops to around 6% as a total spend. And when these guys do get the few credits that they are the winner, they're being paid for the times that they're influencers. So that's one approach. The other that's very popular is just moving them to either a straight CPC, so that I can still pay the full amount, especially to loyalty, so the customer gets their 5% cash back that they're expecting. Or you move them to some type of placement fee, the ones further up the stream, because you appreciate them being involved in the customer journey. And those are the ways to right size this. And then the data shows you whether you increased your costs overall or decreased them or kept them the same. And how did that work to shift some spend to these other partners that are integral to the entire conversion funnel.
Yeah, I like that. And if I might just add on to what Todd was saying here, long before attribution, we preached dynamic payouts for affiliates, but we just didn't quite know what they were doing enough to make those as effective. But if you look at it and you have these payouts based on the value you see, then you should again be looking at a return on ad spend individually and then a blended one. So if you're doing a CPC or something plus that, you need to merge the data to where you actually understand what your return still is.
You still get the effective CPA or return on ad spend, no matter how you spend your money, right? You can do it on impressions and clicks and CPA.
Okay, great. And Sarah, I know that since you're individually working with Cabela's right now, I know you've had a past life before Cabela's. Do you have any case studies or anything that you've been looking at and makes you want to make decisions based on what you've seen with somebody else or something that you've heard?
Yeah, so we currently have started going the route of exactly what Todd was saying is not just lowering commissions of like everyone to be more efficient, but saying like, hey, you're always coming in, and we can see that we have the data. You're always trumping our paid search. So are you actually like that valuable? lowering that guy's commission so that we can actually pay out the guys that are helping us top of funnel, referring those sales. I don't always think that's the perfect approach, because those guys that you lowered their commission on, like, not every sale did they make someone jump out of the cart. They do refer good sales. So I think we do need to figure out, like, what's the middle ground there? You can't just pay them less on every sale, because they do have value.
Yeah. And one thing that we try to look at with our clients too is some of these are just behemoths. You know, they have 3 million, 5 million monthly uniques, and so a lot of them are in and of themselves driving the people initially. So it really comes down to how are the people getting there? Are they going and then switching out from the cart, like has been mentioned here, and then going there and finding it, and that may be less valuable? Or are they starting there, going through the whole sales process on that site? And then, I don't know, have you guys seen anyone that has been able to identify whether they're coming through the one way or the other? In the session yesterday, they said something about 5 minutes before checkout. The sheriff saw something interesting. And this first time I'd heard that. Graying it out, that 5 minutes before checkout. So basically, if somebody has that sort of behavior, they're kind of muting it. And that's the first I'd heard of that. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm very vocal about trying to do this attribution as crediting logic in real time. So what she was showing yesterday was that there's lots of rules, like if this, then that. So if these 3 publishers are involved and the middle publisher is a certain category, then we're going to skip the last and go back to the first. And there's a lot of math that looks good on paper, but you can't watch it be applied at every transaction and know that it's right. You're going to make mistakes. And that's why I advocate for just a solid last-click crediting model. Figure out the value of all the partners based on that, and adjust the spend or the economic relationship going to either CPC, a placement, some type of hybrid CPC, CPA, or a higher CPA to right size all this. I think when you look at some of the other concepts here, like splitting commissions in real time, to me, say I have 10% to pay out, and because Paul was second to the last click and I was last, I'm going to get 6%, he's going to get 4%. But then if Chad's also involved, now it's going to be 60% to me and 3% to him and 1% to him. And you've got so many variables there about what type of affiliate, the time distance between those, that it's really hard for a person, even that's taken more than a statistics 101 in college, to figure all this out correctly, right? That's why you do modeling. But the bottom line is you can't, you just need large sets of data, right? Statistically relevant data to figure this out. And then the answers kind of rise to the top. You can see, you know, out of 1 million transactions or 100,000 transactions, you start to see consistent behavior. When this affiliate is a winner all the time, 22% of the time, when they're an influencer, when they're an introducer, and you start to get a better picture of their contribution and across all other media, which I think is really the picture you want to be looking at.
I would argue, though, that the thing not to forget is that there's always one sum of commission that will be paid out. Now, how you pay this out is entirely up to your goals and who you want to work with. I mean, we talk about attributing certain percentages. You know, if you know, our clients who are splitting commission in real time based on certain, you know, scenarios, was there one affiliate involved? Were there 2? Were there 3? And if so, you know, how much percentage was awarded to this commission of that commission payout, and how much to this affiliate and this affiliate? These things, if you want to optimize your program, yes, it may be confusing. I agree with Todd. You know, you start to see these trends and these behaviors emerge from big sets of data, but you apply that behavior and that knowledge then to microtransactions, because the big sets of data, you can identify, you know, holistic behaviors, but what happens when a sale happens in a way that you don't anticipate? Is that to be fit into the same glove, same sized glove as the big data set? Like, you can have your cake and eat it too. That's the thing. You can have these big behavioral systems and identify what affiliates are doing what type of referrals, but you can also set up equitable models that award different payouts when they don't necessarily fit to that box. And I think that that's something important with attribution, is moving forward, the data doesn't just have to identify trends from a big perspective, but you can use that data to also adapt to micro circumstances, these situations in which it's counter to what you're seeing from the big perspective. And frankly, affiliates love that, right? Like if there is a time, oh, okay, well, 1 out of every 10 times I don't fall into what you think I fall into, right? And I would like to be awarded properly for that. It's, if the data says that and the data shows that they have that type of behavior, then make sure your systems are set up to actually compensate for that.
This makes me think of one of our previous sessions where something that Todd said rings true. We all have different approaches. We're all going to have a lot of different ways that you can peel this banana. But he said we have this data, and what we do with it is where you can really screw up or you can make really good decisions. And so,
well, and, on this whole commission splitting, my argument there, and this is really kind of the tension that comes between an advertiser and media partner. I think the publisher thinks that, okay, let's just use 10% because the math is easy. So you have 10% commission, but now you want to split it. I think that you should increase the commission to split. So 10 goes to the winner, and now you have 5 to the second to the last, or 3 and 2 if there's 3. And most advertisers won't do that. So, and if you talk to a publisher, that's how they would prefer it to be. I don't want to get like we're all hired at a company at $100,000 a year, but because we work on a project together, we're each paid $33,000 a year. Right? I mean,
but I would also say though that if the person who submits the report that I put all the work in gets all the credit at the end and gets the $100,000, I would rather get some of that $100,000 for. I think maybe a big thing is that just the data perspective alone is what's important, right? Because we can't even have these kind of conversations with awarding affiliates and how to actually break up the commission. You can't have that unless you know what's actually going on. And let's not even talk about other channels for a minute. Let's just put the magnifying glass on the affiliate channel, right? To Todd's credit, maybe not even 15% of people out there in the affiliate space actually see how many affiliates were involved. They see the last click, like he was saying. And it's something where if you don't know what's in the pipeline for this channel specifically, forget PPC, forget your email, forget your retargeting, like let's just look at what happened in the affiliate side, then you can't have any conversations about how to reward. You need the data first, and that's what attribution does.
Yeah, so this gets really interesting because, again, you're looking macro and micro, and so I'm going to bring Sarah in on this, but so you've got an operating margin, right? And so Sarah's employer is not only looking at affiliate, but they're looking at everything. So you've got the operating margin. You want to understand as much detail as you can within affiliate. You want to understand as much detail as you can within all of these other channels. But so how does that affect how decisions are made? I mean, because operating margins are everything, right? Because if you give 40% to your dealers and then they make the purchase and you don't even own the customer, that's a way to move a lot of volume, but it may not be the most desirable outcome. And so, any thoughts on? I mean, because I'm sure you're probably not intimately aware of what the operating margins are, but they were probably given certain goals and saying, okay, you have to stay within this.
Yeah, and that's kind of where it gets hard for us is, like I said, our spend is our spend. We spend based on third-party numbers, but it's not what my employer sees. They see our first-party numbers. So the return that I look at on third-party is like, oh, that's awesome. We're doing great. But they don't see that. So I have to start spending towards what we attribute internally. They're not getting us. They're not crediting us on last click. So I shouldn't be paying on that. I need to spend a lot. I need to spend smarter.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the data gives us.
Yeah, and one of our bigger clients, I work directly with the CFO, and I tell you, you get micromanaged on something like that, and it's all about operating margins, So,
once you have this data, you can model these shifts in spend ahead of time, which gives you comfort in then rolling them out, right? You're not rolling them out and waiting to see if you just made it worse, right, or you went over budget. So there is the ability to kind of do what ifs, right, based on last month's data. If I had done an increase to do splits or shifted money, paid this guy CPC instead of CPA, what would have happened? Because you already know their effective CPA if you shift them to a CPC, because you know how much traffic they're sending in.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. So in terms of the affiliates themselves, I'm not sure, by raise of hands, how many that are here are actually affiliates? Okay, I figured it would be pretty heavily skewed toward merchants, but affiliates need to understand this too, right? So what does this mean to them? And we've talked about increasing or decreasing based on the value that's provided, but I want to pose this question, and Todd, I'll start with you. So what do affiliates need to be aware of in terms of how it's going to affect them and their efforts?
Well, first of all, our advertisers aren't anti-affiliate, so I think some people feel that way. Commissions get squeezed, or they feel like they should have got credit and they didn't. There are limitations, and then the fact that when advertisers are transparent and can explain to you, it's not just about who got credit. There's a lot of other KPIs that a marketing team or e-commerce team is, trying to drive. New customers to file, AOV, certain products or product categories, sales. There's lots of other considerations that go into the data on total cost of a conversion. So when you're credited with a commission and you get $10, there could have been $20 of paid search and social traffic involved in that click path, right? If I add all that up, maybe the math doesn't look that good. So, there's a lot of considerations, and I think that advertisers that are willing to have those conversations with their publishers to explain why the commission rate is set, or why they're only getting credit for certain things, or what they can do differently, it's really working together for both parties to get what they want out of the relationship. So I think that's what you need to know about attribution, is it should be hopefully a very open and transparent conversation.
Okay, Chad, your message to affiliates.
Yeah, I think they need to be aware of two things. I think attribution is a way to prove value in the affiliate channel, right? I mean, if you can say that, hey, say there were 3 affiliates involved in a singular sale, and then there was 5 touch points on PPC and 1 retargeting and 2 email campaigns and all this other stuff. All of those other costs are pay to play, right? But the affiliate channel, you just got 3 amazing referrals that drove behavior by a potential consumer, and it still costs the same. So attribution should show the inherent value of the affiliate channel, because it is pay for performance, right? So it peels back again the curtain and shows just what the impact was. Now, how that translates to affiliates is managers should look at this and be like, this is good. This should help justify to our CMO that this is a better channel than anything else. I think hopefully we're all in agreement that it is, at least in this room at an affiliate marketing conference, but it is a great channel. The other thing then would be that affiliates also need to have a very acute awareness of any program that does utilize attribution. So what does the transparency look like? I guess in our case where we do commission splitting, we tell the publishers up front. We say this is exactly what will happen in every scenario. If there's X amount of affiliates involved, this is what you can expect if you fall into the clickstream here. And we try to be as transparent as possible, because if this is a black box for affiliates, merchants will understand this. They're the ones who are going to set up the models. They're the ones who are going to look at the data. They're the ones who are going to make the final decision on this. But if the affiliates don't understand this, then we're in a bad way, because that means half the industry gets what's going on and the other half feels like they're out in the cold. So transparency, honest messaging on the part of both the network and the merchant to the affiliate, and making sure that it's as understood as possible that this is something meant to help affiliates.
Okay, great. And so what would you say, Sarah, to affiliates? Why should they believe that you have their best interests in mind while remaining profitable?
I think that it can be beneficial for hopefully most, but it's going to hurt some. And to Todd's point, it truly just opens up that conversation. You have to be open with them in what you're doing, and I hate to say we still have some partners like this, but they have to be able to tell you how they're sending traffic. If I have to come to you and say I don't get where your traffic's coming from, you have to be able to answer that question now.
Yeah. So, and that goes back to these types of discussions we were having 10 years ago, where we were pleading from the lectern here that it was a two-way street. It's all about communication. I mean, I remember back in the day where affiliates wanted to be anonymous, and even some affiliate managers weren't putting their contact information out there. And it's like, why would you expect any sort of real professional relationship if you're not even disclosing who you are, or making it easy to communicate with? So, all right, thanks. Next question. We're going to try to leave a little bit of time for your Q&As, but we're coming down to the end here. So what are some of the most common mistakes you see made when a merchant incorporates attribution? So we've kind of talked about how it should be done and optimally what we should be looking for. Have you seen mistakes? And if so, can you share them without embarrassing anybody? And I mean, I'd be curious to know.
Well, so the way attribution works, at least from our perspective, is we can see all the inbound clicks to an advertiser site. And so what we're reading is the way they've tagged their media already, right? So, UTM underscore source equals, SEM or email or Facebook. And so there's very simple ways to tag your media, and that's going into your analytics. And there's very, very advanced, very great ways to do it, and you get a much richer data set. So the first thing that we tend to see is kind of a really suboptimal just media tagging, and so that those changes need to be made. And a lot of marketing organizations are change averse, like, this is how we do it. We don't want to change. This is good enough. And so what happens is they're getting maybe 20% of the data just in their analytics that they should be, much less out of our technology. So that's one. The other challenges I hear is that they're using already some other attribution solution, and they don't understand how that even works. Like, it's not tagged right in the modeling, and then so what happens is they look at the data and it's clearly wrong or suspect. So then what happens is, well, I don't even want to look at that data or use it. I'll just use whatever I have available through my affiliate vendor. So, that's probably the hardest thing is if you can't trust data, you don't want to use it, right? Everybody here wants really trustworthy, accurate, comprehensive data. Like that's what we all wish we had every day. And so getting that single source of truth that you and the rest of your marketing team can trust and believe in and make decisions off of is probably the biggest challenge, and there's a lot of mistakes that can happen in the middle there.
Okay, I want to follow up with your first point, just because I've seen a lot of people trying to set up the UTM equals whatever, and I think for a lot of people, just getting that in place, the basics of that, is considered success. So is there somewhere you could refer people to that would say, okay, well, yeah, this is basic, but this is actually an optimal...
I mean, we do Google Analytics integrations or changes for AdWords that Google doesn't even know that you can get this out of their technology. So, I mean, you can talk to a Google rep and they're like, what? I've never heard of that. So, I mean, it's basically just through expertise and understanding like what type of data you're trying to get answers for. Then what data do you need to have the answers, right? I can't give you an answer if I don't have the data. So if you ask a question, well, we haven't been tracking that data. Okay, so we'll never know that answer until we change what we're doing. So to say expertise, I mean, I've seen a lot of digital agencies integrate their clients, and it's the worst integration possible because that's just how they do all their clients. And so the client is stuck with a bad analytics package. I mean, it's not bad, it works, but you're missing, like I said, 80% of the data that you could get.
So expect sometime in the future that there will be a blog post by Todd Crawford that says this is the best, you're getting basic tracking data, and this is the way that not even Google understands, and it's going to get millions of views. So, all right, Chad, same question.
I think the biggest thing that, and this isn't representative of what I'd call the majority of people who are looking at doing attribution, but when you look at the full data set for a conversion of a customer, you get a very good sense of how many channels were involved, really how many channels were involved. And that could include affiliate, that could include social and PPC, anything that you're using. And some merchants take a look at that and say, okay, well, we want to then just deduplicate, right? We want to look at the last channel that actually, converted the customer, the nail in the coffin, the one that, made it so that the intent to buy really was there because they actually put in their credit card information. And all the other channels before, we basically just want to deduplicate, right? And that could be withholding payment to like the affiliate, for example. And that's something that is an honest narrative. Like people look at that, oh, we just want to associate it to one channel and not credit anything else. Part of the crux of being a pay-for-performance channel, I guess. As a network, we clearly don't allow that, but we also try to discourage that conversation because this should be, again, about equitable rewarding solutions for the affiliate channel, first and foremost, and not meeting budget guidelines. And I understand that that's, to some degree, rainbows and unicorns because a budget is a budget and it's set by a CMO, right? And you have to fall within that. But at the same time, you have to use this data as a way to build an equitable program and not something that deduplicates and only looks at a last marketing channel and, then you associate all the value to that. It may be primitive and it may be, something that sounds maybe a little laughable. We're probably all a cut above, the typical digital marketer since we're here, but it's also a pretty big narrative because, to both Sarah and Todd's point, a lot of people don't understand it. The data could be there, but they just don't get it. So they make a knee-jerk reaction like, last channel's going to win. We don't want to pay the affiliate then for it since it wasn't the person who converted in the cart, blah, blah, blah. So I'd say that's the biggest mistake.
Okay, thanks. Sarah, from your perspective.
I'm going past life on this one. This is not Cabela's. I think, and I've seen it in the past, people will set this up solely for themselves, solely to benefit them. And I get that, like it's your company, your budget, but I think that you need to view the affiliate channel as a partnership because it truly is. Your program is nothing without your affiliates. So every decision you make, you need to remember why it's going to benefit them. To the last question, how is attribution benefiting your affiliates and how are you going to show them that? You need to remember that it's for them. It's not just because you need to save some money.
Okay, fantastic. So I haven't seen the sign yet, but usually it's, according to my clock, it's a 15-minute still. So I've got a couple more questions on these slides, but we may do one more and then we'll leave it up for Q&A. And if you don't ask questions, we'll do the last couple here. So let's do one more. And this is one. So we saw that slide earlier that showed 20-day sale process and how many different channels it touched. And I've read things that say conversions need to be at least 6 or 7 touches before somebody will become a buyer. But I don't, everyone's going to be different. I'm just kind of curious on from you guys' experience, how many touches before somebody buys?
That's like how many licks does it take to get to the center with the top? I mean, there's plenty of affiliates and other marketing channels that are the sole contributor to a conversion, and that's one of the analysis you should look at is of all the conversions that I credited my affiliate, how many were solo conversions? Because that's traffic you can't buy anywhere else, right? So that's pretty valuable. If you have an affiliate with greater than 50% solo conversions, that's a partnership that you should really start to leverage. Or even looking at percent of new versus returning, higher percent of new over average from the channel and things like that. So, but we looked at that. It was a 20-day look back. I mean, the touch points are going to depend on how far back you look. We can look. I've seen our subway graphs like that. You can't even discern the dots, and it goes back 167 days. So, I mean, you can. When's the first touch? It can go back forever. So, I mean, to say what's the average or what you should expect, it's different every time. It's never going to be the same.
Yeah, what he said.
That's pretty simple. Okay.
It's all across the board. When we're trying to sell AvantMetrics, the attribution, we'll of course sell the screenshot or show the screenshot of the quintessential attribution or snapshot where it shows 17 occurrences of PPC and then 3 for affiliate, 2 for email, and all these other channels for a $20 sale, right? It's like this is what you need to know. But yeah, just like Todd was saying, it's you have some brands who value the affiliate channel. This is the only way to actually produce traffic, right? Maybe that's their major focus for online marketing. Other ones have really in-depth strategies and teams going across the board for every possible channel out there, PLAs, PPC, all that fun stuff. And it totally depends. It totally depends on the goals. I would say maybe one big kind of X factor in this is, I really wish I could use names here, but if the brand has a product that is passion-driven, and people can really rally around the brand and the products around a lifestyle thing, we tend to see the affiliate channel kind of excel in those because the organic conversation, a lot of those referrals tend to be out of a lifestyle choice, right? Something that I love and I want to talk about, and maybe not so much just a regular old marketing channel. And to Sarah's point again, these are partnerships, right? So that passion really plays in. We find that there's a lot less overlap in channels there, but all across the board.
Any experience on that, Sarah, or something? What
Ditto.
Todd said?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I will say, though, it was really cool to see the impact radius report where you can see, this guy really only was 1 touch this many times, 2 touch, 3 touch. That's pretty valuable because we always say, people are so loyal to these loyalty sites, these coupon sites. Yeah. Obviously, Cabela's has a very loyal following, but we're getting all these new shoppers because people go to an eBay's an active junkie, and it's 1 touch. That's all they want.
I've actually had a client tell me, my wife goes to this site first before she buys anything. We need to partner with this site. So it does happen, and it's really important. So we've got about 10 minutes left. I want to see if any of you have questions. Please come up to the mic here so that it can be heard on video, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions. And if you don't have questions, like I say, we'll just keep yapping. Anyone have questions for us on anything we've covered up to this point? Or if you guys, you couldn't, this is something that there's a lot of stuff going on, so we've covered a lot. Here comes one.
Hi. This question is about product data feeds and affiliates that leverage product-specific content and leveraging those links and maybe some value-added content around that. Does your data show that there's a higher level of conversion for those, and is there a higher level of attribution for affiliates that are really product-centric and focused and driving traffic at a product level?
I mean, if you think about how you buy yourself, I look at a lot of YouTube videos to review stuff that I'm interested in buying, audio equipment or something. I'm going to look at 3, 4, 5 guys that have over 1 million followers, and they do pretty professional and they're pretty objective views. And then I might read some blogs and stuff, and that's going to help me decide what I want to buy. I'm not the guy that then goes and clicks on Ebates or a coupon site and gets a coupon. I just click and buy stuff. I don't care. But personally, I'm very influenced by content, and I think that's where advertisers are struggling, because they feel like you have your top 10, 20 affiliates. Most of them fall into coupon and deal and loyalty, and they want to be diversified, and they think content is more valuable. It arguably is, and it typically is somewhere further up the funnel if someone is more price conscious, right? Wanting a coupon or their cash back, they're going to engage that after they've made the decision of what they want to buy.
You're describing the diamond in the rough affiliate, right? The quintessential idea of affiliate marketing. You have a great review site that reviews a pair of shoes or something, and they send over qualified traffic. And ideally, that's what everybody wants, right? That's the type of content-rich, high trust value affiliate referral that's there. But if you do have a program that all of a sudden 90% of your revenue comes from 10% of your affiliates, and most of them are coupon or loyalty or these big players, well, you've just made the case for attribution, right? Because if you're running last click wins right now, you don't know what the conversion rate is of those people. It's likely that many of those referrals are being overridden. And this goes back to the earlier discussion, though, is that you have to create an environment where the earlier publishers can prove their value and get rewarded for it. But in the times when the coupon guys, who are always billed as being evil and last minute, there are plenty of times where they come in top of funnel. I mean, like you were just saying, if your brand has enough equity and people know that they're going to shop there, and they want to go to one of these sites that actually aggregates out what the big sales and promos are instead of having to find it on their own, they're going to come in as introducers too. So to your point, it could be that they're converting a lot higher. It's just that unless you see the data and you know it, you can see it right there and quantify it, there's no way to understand that if you're still on a typical last click wins model.
Any thoughts, Sarah?
Nothing additional. That's pretty much nail on the head. That's the dream affiliate.
But a lot of those content affiliates are promoting coupons.
A lot of them
They're
are
telling
too.
you there's a coupon, and then what happens is, as a consumer, I don't believe that's the best coupon.
Yeah.
So I click on that. That's a good coupon. I'll start with the 15%, but now I'm going to do brand plus coupon to see if I can find a better coupon. It's the same thing when advertisers start saying, well, we'll show our customers the best coupon on our site, and you'll even guarantee it's the best coupon. How many people are going to believe a retailer is giving them the best coupon? I'm going to let the internet tell me it's the best. And so that's how a click will still happen to a major coupon site. Yeah. So even though the content site got me to buy and maybe offered a promotion, I needed to check that there was a better one.
So that's something you need to decide too. Are you going to allow just anybody to pick up those coupon codes? And if so, then you're likely going to have those bloggers or content affiliates using them. But I've seen very controlled coupon efforts to where you're not letting every cookie cutter coupon site out there have it. You have even seen customizable coupon codes. So there are different ways you can do it to minimize the impact of somebody who you think is giving value here and somebody would buy the product at full price. I mean, there are a lot of things that you can do, decisions you can make as a merchant that will minimize the effect of that. But as far as like the value that's there, someone like Cabela's has tens of thousands of SKUs, and you have somebody that's very niche and they say, I love this subset of products. That's a very valuable affiliate for sure. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'll give you a chance to think about it. We'll go to the next one here on the slide. So integrating this, how difficult is it? So if we wanted to do this, you're come back from Affiliate Summit and boss says, what'd you learn? And you say, we need an attribution model. How difficult is it for people to integrate?
Well, the real question is, how difficult is it for a marketing team to decide to move forward with attribution and pick a solution and integrate it? Because obviously the guy doing paid search has his opinion, the woman doing social has her opinion, the affiliate manager. Nobody wants a solution that's going to make their channel look worse, and that's probably the biggest fear. And that's why you get people averse to choosing an attribution solution. I think that's probably the bigger challenge. Implementing it through Impact Radius, that's what I have most experience. It's pretty painless. It's pretty straightforward. It can be done in a couple weeks, and it's not a lot of tech resources on the advertiser site. Most people have a tag management system, so getting everything in place and set up and doing a little optimization, and once you get it in place, you can kind of do some ongoing optimization. It's not as hard as probably people imagine it to be.
So the tech side is, well, we've all wrestled with our tech teams, right? It's more about allocation of developer time than anything else. It's not, the actual integration isn't terrible. I would say where if you're diving into this for the first time and all of a sudden you're introduced to a massive data set, right? You know, it's all this new data that you're looking at across all channels, including the affiliate, and really in-depth, granular touch points. It can take a little while to wrap your head around it. And really, you know, there'll be many situations where people look at 2 or 3 days worth of data and they're like, knee-jerk reaction. It's like, this is the model we want to put it. This is how we want to split commissions and stuff. And what we often caution them is like take a month or two, analyze the data, like really get a sense for what's going on from a high level, and then implement the solutions or the modeling that you want to put in place. That's the hardest part. It's just analyzing the data, right? Technical stuff, if it's not easy to put on your site, then, you know, the vendors failed, right?
Super easy, right, Sarah?
Super easy.
And now for the real answer.
Yeah, I think our Impact Radius was already set up when I got there, and we got AvantMetrics up and running within a week and a half, and that was truly just, we submit a ticket and we're waiting for the time. So it's definitely not hard on the tech side. I think the hard part is not having that emotional reaction, actually.
So do the data sets play nice together? Do you actually learn something different from AvantMetrics than you do from Impact Radius, and there's value in each? Or?
There's definitely value in each. They're very different, but it's hard to say, like, they're both great.
Okay. Well, that's interesting because I've typically seen, you know, somebody goes with one solution, but it's good to see. I mean, there are people that run on multiple networks with their affiliate programs as well, and I guess you get value in different ways. So.
Yeah, and that's the hard part is, like, there's data that I love from both, and it's like, well, I want that data on everyone, and we're split, and I just want, if you guys could merge.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions out here on this? Because, again, I want to give you one more chance. I think our final question, to kind of sum up, we were talking about where are we now. So what are some of the biggest changes or realizations that have been reached over the last few years? Because, again, we've been doing this for a little while now. Any big thoughts on what's changed, and are we better at doing what we've been trying to do, or are we still kind of working our way through the swamp?
Well, you know, I think the biggest realization is that siloed marketing channel data is not really an effective way to manage a channel. You get people that want to own their channel and they don't want to see how they interact with other channels, and that's not good for an organization. Having a holistic, we're all working together to drive revenue. You know, multi-channel exists. If you looked at affiliate back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were like only 3 touch points. There was email, SEO, and affiliate. Oh, and display. So that was it, right? Maybe some product comparison. Today, there are so many ways to touch a customer and retarget a customer that you're always going to get a lot of touch points. And so those all work together to the same ends. And now you have, back in those days, one household would have a computer, right? And you'd have maybe a computer at work. Now, every human, at least in the United States, has 3 internet access devices that are just for them. So cross-device is a whole other perspective that you have to include in your data. Just like you wouldn't, a few years ago, not allow cross-channel, now you can't not have cross-device. And so together, all of that needs to be combined in your data, or else you are looking at less than the whole or less than the truth, however you want to look at that. I see it as less than the truth.
Chad, biggest changes or realizations?
Yeah, I'd just say, if you were around 3 or 4 years ago, when the word attribution really kind of started to percolate down into the affiliate industry, it was a buzzword, right? Everybody said it to sound smart, but nobody really quite knew what it was or what it did or the impact that it had. I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, people really have started to understand the value of seeing the bigger picture and the value in optimizing the affiliate channel first, and then seeing how it plays in with everything else from kind of the bigger picture, holistic view. And it's nice not to have that, it's nice to have it evolve from being a buzzword to a strategy.
Okay, great. Sarah?
For me, and I was kind of blown away by this yesterday, how many affiliates were bringing attribution up to me. I was really surprised by that. I feel like every year it's been like, the networks I think have done a great job of like rallying around this and making it such like a big topic for everyone. I feel like it's always been like merchants, networks having to like push this topic, and it was just like they wanted to know, they wanted to be a part of it. So
Can you imagine going to another company and having to run their affiliate program without this data again? I mean, you wouldn't want to do it. That's the thing, is if you don't have it, you don't know what you're missing. But once you have it, you don't ever want to live without it.
yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm showing 2 p.m. straight up. Again, please fill out your feedback forms and enjoy the rest of the conference. Appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.